Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I am here with my buddy and colleague, Jonathan Reed from Sitefinity. Here, can we do this, Jonathan? There you go. No, you're supposed to, no. There you go.
Yeah, I got it. Oh, it's tough.
We're going to talk about
camera's reversed or
Sitefinity Cloud and why you might want to consider it and some of the things you would consider if you were considering it. So Jonathan, as I mentioned, is from the Progress Sitefinity team. We've done a bunch of Sitefinity Cloud projects and migrations. So I thought, we would have a good conversation together to get into some of those details. Jonathan, do you want to share just a quick overview of Sitefinity Cloud for those who may be a little bit less familiar?
Well, quick is hopefully we'll do my best here, but Sitefinity Cloud is the same Sitefinity application that you know and love.
Yep.
But hosted by Progress Sitefinity, right? So the biggest value there is obviously it's hosted and managed by us. Mm-hmm. So we're drinking our own champagne in that regard. Does it taste sweet? Hosted, managed, and tuned by us.
Right.
You get value add features like a content delivery network. So we're caching out the front end of the application in whole. So we're delivering it as close as possible to your customers. This also obviously helps with other performance factors as well. You can cache that for a period of time. Web application firewall.
Oh, I'm going to interrupt you because we're going to get into this specific scenario. So let me maybe also just mention that, before we get into it, there's two flavors of Sitefinity Cloud. You've got the quote unquote, what I call really the hosted application, but then you've got what you call Sitefinity as a service.
I do.
So there's sort of a lighter version, and then there's a more substantial version.
Sure.
What are the differences in the SaaS and the PaaS versions?
Right. So both of them come with a lot of the value add features. So that's web application firewall, content delivery network, continuous integration and continuous deployment with zero downtime deployments. Mm-hmm. So both of them come with those same great things. Tons of compliances too. We have them all listed on the site because John can't ever remember all of them. So tons of compliances, SSL certs, all those things come with both, as I call them, flavors, right?
Yep.
The biggest factor differences between the two is how much upgrade effort you might have to put into them. Now, the platform as a service comes with automated upgrades. That means we branch your code for you, we run the upgrade, and you as customer/partner click a button and it goes to your staging environment. Both come also with two environments out of the box. Now, there are a little bit of differences between the environments, but we can get into more details there in just a moment. So both of them come with a staging and a production environment. We can label them whatever, but both of them come with that. Now, Sitefinity as a service, or our SaaS model, if you will, it comes with automatic upgrades.
Right.
You cannot customize the content management system with this particular version of Sitefinity Cloud. That means you can't go in and create a backend extension, or you can't go in and attach to the event hub in C# code, or create a custom Excel exporter, or some of these other magic things that you could do with our PaaS version.
Can integrate using web services and the rest of the
point. So we're not going to restrict you on the ability to integrate. It's just going to happen in a different way.
Yeah.
That integration would happen via web services and or our integration hub. So integration hub is a no-code integration platform that utilizes our web services to allow you to attach to form submission events, publishing events.
Zapier, Workato, Power Automate. Those are
also iPaaS. Yep. Yeah, and ours happens to be built off of Workato, for lack of a better term. So the biggest difference between the two is less maintenance with software as a service or Sitefinity as a service or SaaS.
So let's get into the specific benefits and go through them one at a time.
Okay.
Thank you for that introduction. So again, to summarize, there are two flavors. There's the PaaS version and the SaaS version.
Correct.
SaaS is a very streamlined instance of the product. You cannot customize the CMS itself. Great for a straight up website. PaaS is more appropriate for scenarios where there is more customization, a little bit more going on in the infrastructure, perhaps a different governance model within your own organization.
Right.
Okay, so I want to talk about scalability, performance, security, ease of use, the automation and the integration, maintenance and support, the actual migration and onboarding process when you're ready to go. And then we'll probably end up talking about cost value benefit along the way.
Right.
But and then maybe at the end, we'll get into future developments. So
Sure.
right off the top, I think that so I think that there are a couple of key reasons why people are attracted to the cloud. One is the scalability of the infrastructure and knowing that you don't have to guess at the size of your infrastructure or really sort of manage the scaling of it. And that can be a huge headache. And often client environments get over-engineered to sort of protect themselves overly cautiously. But then also just the maintenance and support elements. So you've already mentioned a little bit of that, but talk to me first about sort of scalability and performance in the cloud and how that's a benefit.
So the first layer comes with both versions of cloud, of scalability, is the use of a content delivery network, right?
Right.
So not only are we using the content delivery network for our static assets, JS, CSS, images, videos, those types of, which are typical CDN type stuff. We're actually caching the entire front end or HTML of the application. And that's really where it gets quite performance beneficial, right?
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah. So now let's say you chose to host it in North America, East region, but you have customers all over the globe. We're going to use that content delivery edge network to deliver the website as close as possible to those end users. It still allows you to do personalization. It still allows you to do A/B testing because those actually happen on the client side. So you still get to use all the features and forms and functionalities.
That's kind of unrelated, but those personalization and A/B testing things happen on the client side.
They do.
Which is a huge performance benefit. So there's not a big server task going on there. So which is a big deal. Okay, sorry.
So you get to take advantage of all those particular forms and features, and now the advantage of Cloudflare as your content delivery network. Now there's sort of two different scalabilities with the models, but nonetheless, they are scaled at the factor of what you've purchased, right? The value really comes around page views, right? So that's our kind of measuring factor about the scalability that you need. Now, Pass is a tier-based application, so you kind of get 12 million page views, you get 50 million, you get 300 million, right? Those aren't the exact numbers, but those are basically the tiers, okay? And then with the SaaS model, it's more consumption-based. We start you at 1 million page views a year, and you can add on from there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So on and so forth.
I like it because it's well sized for a broad spectrum of sites and clients.
Yeah, we can support you down to a smaller project. We can support you up to a huge portal, a huge multi-tiered application. No problem at all.
So let's segue into security. You mentioned Cloudflare. I know that's kind of part of the solution, but you've also got just the inherent infrastructure that Sitefinity's always been built on.
Right.
How does the cloud help you from a security posture?
Yeah, I mean, so we still have what we affectionately call our web security module. That still comes with the cloud. That's DDoS stuff. That's client-side attacks. That's stuff that you can configure, right?
Right.
But on top of that, so the value of cloud is not only do you get the web application firewall from Cloudflare, looking at top 10 OWASP rules that we are constantly monitoring, configuring, because we give you 24/7 availability and security management. So all of our customers, if there's an event of high security posture, you're getting alerted of it. So you're using the ticketing system of Sitefinity, you're alerted in this way, and the team's already working on it. Okay.
Yeah. It's often something that's being responded to before you can even get that.
Before you even know about it in general. Yeah.
So that's a huge benefit for a lot of clients, and a lot of reassurance alone comes, let alone whether or not you even ever have to respond to one of these incidents. Just being able to show your team, your auditors, whoever it is, that you have that in place is fantastic. In terms of using Sitefinity itself, you mentioned it off the top, and let's just take the moment to reiterate that it's going to be familiar. There's nothing particularly special or unique, so that's a benefit because you don't have to. There's no enablement or training that is
Right.
necessarily needed. But talk to me about the benefit you do get by those multiple environments you talked about
Yeah.
off the top. So authoring in one, site
Yeah.
sync, explain all that.
How about we show a picture? How about a pretty picture? Does that
Love
sound
it.
cool?
Love it.
Loves a pretty picture. All right. So let me get up a pretty picture here. All right. So let me present and screen and entire this one. Okay. So this is our PaaS infrastructure. I'll show you SaaS in just a moment. But this is the infrastructure, right? So one of the great value adds is you'll continue to do your local development, which you're probably already used to. We mentioned continuous integration. So as soon as you merge the code and you push it to the remote developer operations, it basically checks the code. It builds it. If it fails, the alarms go off.
Won't go, yeah.
People get alerts and emails, and it will not deploy that code. But if it succeeds in that particular process, this gray arrow here deploys it to staging. Okay. So the staging environment is a playground. It's a feature validation area. It's a, hey, Scott and his team just built you a new feature, new CSS. You test it there.
Right.
There is no connection of content between staging and production by design. So remember, this is the PaaS infrastructure. That means you can customize the CMS. So we got to be a little bit more careful on syncing content for that reason.
Right.
There's an approval process. You get to choose who the approvers are, but there's a code approval process, both on the content management layer and the renderer layer. So this is your technology front end. It could be Next.js. It could be ASP.NET Core, whatever you guys choose, right? Deployment goes to production, okay? Zero downtime. I'm going to repeat that.
Yep.
Yeah. That is one of the hugest. We're making up words because that's how awesome it is, right?
Hugest.
It is the hugest. We're making up words because that's how awesome it is. But it is a great value add to your deployment process, right? And
what I like about that, not
Yeah.
only is it just it doesn't interrupt it, but normally this also
Yeah.
would have been something that would have been scheduled for
That's right.
The evening, the night, and if there is an issue, that the team's kind of got the coffee on and they're not
Right.
they're in their best position to deal with that. And even if it does go successfully, you got to wait till the next morning for the team to go, well, that's actually not what I was expecting,
Yeah.
or to even approve it to begin with. So
That's right.
what's cool about CI/CD is that you can actually do it safely during business hours.
That's right.
And the right people are at the ready, and it's even safer and more robust than what would have been done before.
And we're taking advantage of Azure tools here, right?
For sure.
So kind of in full disclosure, these are Azure App Services, and we take advantage of the features that they have at hand to be able to facilitate this particular process. So as code moves along, if you've chosen the optional add-on environment over here on the right-hand side, it's called authoring. On our price sheets and we call it content pipeline, but this is your site sync environment. Now, it is an add-on feature to the application. The code actually will deploy to both of these environments, so they're always in sync, like my favorite band. My wife's heard me say that from upstairs, and she's like, what kind of silly guy? It actually, I love Justin Timberlake. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to hide it either. It's on recording now, so who cares? But anyway, so you can keep content in sync. So content and code still follow two separate processes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here you can get your full pre-production environment, look at the entire application, create 4 or 5 new pages, jump around to them, test the new flow, and then sync it whenever you're ready, right?
So that's cool, because that's what I was getting at in terms of that ease of use and user experience.
That's right.
So you talked about a rather technical flow here about deploying new code and managing different environments. But I think the takeaway for the business users that might be watching this is you get an environment where there's an option to have this authoring environment you can play around with your content, you can get it ready, and you can see it before it gets promoted to your production environment as well.
It's the future state of your production environment from a content perspective.
Yeah.
And again, you can look and you can still run workflows there as well. Yep. So if you Scott needs to approve my work, fine, so be it. He can still do that. And then
usually a good idea.
Yeah, definitely a great idea. I'm more of a coder than a writer. You've seen me type, Scott. It's horrible. Anyway, so the code and content will follow 2 processes. So dev team can still do this. I guess on the other note of developers, it really allows them to focus in on just developing and not managing infrastructure, right?
Yes.
So now you have more time for your business
sure.
objects, your business opportunities, your custom widgets for compare tools, whatever else you need, right? It gives you more time for that. We didn't mention that, but that's a value add
It
for sure.
it kind of enforces some good practices, best practices, and
True.
governance processes that a lot of businesses wish they had. That there's some overhead in setting them up to begin with, managing
Right.
them, maintaining them, and with Sitefinity Cloud, you just get that.
That's right.
That's part of what the whole package includes, and it's not really much more process. It's not that cumbersome to then you actually get this much more robust feature set and toolkit for building, enhancing, deploying, maintaining
Right.
your site. So
Definitely.
on that note, let's
So-
talk about maintenance and support. So when I have a Sitefinity Cloud environment, when my site's deployed there, who do I call? What if I'm stuck? What if there's a problem? How does that work?
Ghostbusters. No. I mean, great question. So we mentioned 24/7 security management earlier. You also get 24/7 availability management. So we are pinging. Sitefinity actually has a health endpoint that we ping. We ping it from multiple places all over the globe. If there is an incident where usually we watch the homepage, we can watch other business critical pages. You just got to tell us what they are. If there's an incident on more than one region around the globe, a ticket's automatically created and somebody's already looking into it. So you get 24/7 security and availability management. So if there's an incident about it, you can actually just pick up the 1-800 number and call support and tell them. Chances are pretty high that they already know that there's an outage in your application, not that it happens. Because the SLA is 99.9%, across our 120 customers, plus or minus, we're actually delivering 99.97%. In fact, those customers, 99% of those customers are all pass, which means they can customize the CMS, which means they can break stuff. And we're still able to overachieve our delivery metrics with the product. So you have a team, they're constantly monitoring the applications. They're probably going to know before you even know if there was an incident. If there's something in the deployment standpoint, you can definitely call up. You can definitely, ask for help. They can guide you through it, but you can also roll back with the tools at hand as well. So we do have database utilities, point in time restoration are included.
Rollbacks, those kinds of fallback,
code rollbacks,
restoration,
all that type of stuff,
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
those are tools that
course,
come with it. Yep.
So we're talking about sort of infrastructure technical support.
Right.
And so then from an application level, that's where a team like Flywheel would be able to assist. A lot of the times what you might be challenged with or struggling with is really what's the best way to leverage the system, the tools, the templates, the widgets, the elements to achieve the digital experience that I'm after. At Flywheel, we can be your go-between there, and coordinate with progress with the environment. Have a lot more business context for what you're trying to do with the system, and guide you through achieving the actual use of the system to help you find success and achieve those digital experience goals.
It's also important to note that there's also support packages that you can purchase for the application of Sitefinity. I think there's 4 of them. So there's different levels of support, how many tickets you can do, because there are product bugs, which are Sitefinity related, but the uptime, and all that is related to cloud. You can pick up the phone about cloud problems, but application bugs, still would fall into that support package area. Which again, Scott can't fix the product, no offense, but you would need. But he can fix his implementation of the product. But yeah, so there are also support packages that go along with the Sitefinity product itself.
Okay, awesome. So we've covered a lot of bases there.
Yeah.
We've talked about using the product. We've talked about the benefits of the infrastructure and whatnot. I think that along the way, we've sort of implied a lot of the cost benefits there. But if I'm going to summarize what we see as the biggest takeaways, one, managing the infrastructure and just having that headache on your hands. There's probably sort of an unrealized cost in needing to be available and scramble to find somebody if there is an issue at sort of midnight, that kind of thing. And then also in terms of over engineering and over scaling the environment, you don't get that with the cloud. It is going to be able to work appropriately for the size of your site, the amount of traffic that
Right.
you have. So it's not it's not over engineered. The other thing that we find is
or under engineered,
or
for that
under
matter.
engineered. Absolutely. Good point. Yeah. The other thing we find is internal knowledge transfer. When you might have turnover, there's a high cost in bringing somebody on board, getting the team up to speed, having them ready to be able to support the business users
Right.
internally. So you eliminate that obstacle, that cost
Yep.
immediately.
Yeah, all processes are documented is basically what Scott's alluding to here. So how you upload code or how you interact with the content environment, all those types of things are documented by
Well, and if you were
Sitefinity.
calling for support, you might be talking to somebody different, but they are the experts. They know and they have
True.
the whole knowledge base at their fingertips.
Yep.
Absolutely. And then there's simply sort of a governance value, and for some clients, there's a tremendous benefit there to be able to, more easily satisfy an auditor or somebody else that might be scrutinizing your setup environment and that kind of thing. Did I leave anything out?
No, I mean, there's a couple other value add things. So, logs and stuff are more easily queryable. If you're a customer using Audit Trail, we give you charts and graphs about Audit Trail. So you can see the breakdown of content edits and logins and logouts. You can even build your own charts. Metrics. So we give you server metrics. How is it performing? Uptime, all of that right at your fingertips. You can put them on the big billboard in the IT center or whatever you need to, right? You can do that. And we also give you things like image optimization. It's a feature that you can turn on.
Good one.
Yeah, for upload. So one, for customers who are migrating to cloud, you may have assets which haven't been optimized. You bring it over to cloud, you turn on image optimization, we will optimize what's already in your database. Then moving forward, we optimize everything that's uploaded.
This
Boom.
is a big deal.
Yeah.
Huge
deal.
I'm
or tiny deal. I don't know which way you go. It's a huge, is it tiny? We're making it tiny. Anyway. But yeah, definitely a great value add to Sitefinity Cloud, for our customers.
Yeah. General, performance improvements and so we didn't even talk about sort of the user experience benefit and the if you're running a highly transactional or an e-commerce experience or any kind of scenario where any lag is going to be a lost user or a lost conversion. You benefit by avoiding that and being able to increase transaction volumes for your experience for sure.
Right. But that's not to say that you shouldn't take advantage of Sitefinity thumbnails and making an image, 120 pixels versus 4,000 pixels.
Yeah, we're not talking about resizing. It's the optimization.
That's right. It's the optimization of the image. So there still is some user work to do in there, but we give you those particular tools. Can I mention a couple other value add tools too, Scott, since we're kind of on the top? Okay. Yep. So data obfuscation as well. So when you're using our PaaS environment, we have a button that you can press to move the database from production to lower level environments. In that process, we scramble the data, obfuscate. I only like to usually say that twice because I can't say
personal information.
Yes, the personal information. Yeah. That's usernames. That's email addresses in forms, and you can also set up your own fields and configure those as well. So as you're moving a database around, we're securing it for you. Great value add for it. Point in time restoration, we kind of mentioned that stuff as well.
So you talked about a little bit of the evolution of the product too. So I'm just to kind of close out. The other thing I like about being in the cloud is, I guess all customers have this in one way, shape, or form. But there's a great capability in the ecosystem to feed back into the product and make sure that it's working well for everybody. Would you agree about sort of being able to stay on the leading edge of what's coming down the pipe and the future evolution of the product?
Yeah, we have customers on platform as a service who are getting upgrades done. I want to say same day because the automated upgrade happens that night, but basically next day
within 24 hours.
And have tested it and deployed it within 48 hours.
Right.
And that's huge.
Very good point. What used to be an actual project say, okay, we got to update again. It's not terribly cumbersome. It's a very straightforward process, even with a more sophisticated site with
Right.
customizations, but you still need to say, all right, we're going to carve out this 2-week period to make sure we're available and the team knows there's a content freeze, and and Flywheel is helping us run the upgrade and deploying it and managing it. Well, in the cloud, it is so much more streamlined, another cost benefit,
Right.
but also allows you to more readily install some of these new enhancements and future
Yep.
benefits that come with the product. So you're not waiting so long between release. So you get all the
Right.
security, reliability, performance benefits that usually come from one version to the next, but also all the features and functionality that get added into the product. You get that on much more immediately when you're using the cloud.
Yep. So for my current customers who are using Sitefinity, we do need you to be on 14.4 of Sitefinity. But once you're there, if you're not already there, Scott and his team can obviously help you get there. Once you're there and you upload it to cloud, which you really just get to hand off the code and we do most of the magic for you, you'll actually get one almost immediate and inherent benefit. And that goes back to just what we talked about, upgrades. You upload it as 14.4. That's the minimal version we need you to get to. Tomorrow, it's going to say, hey, we've upgraded your stuff. We've created a pull request. We're kind of waving our hand saying, hey, pick me. Right. And now you can upgrade to the most recent version, 15.1, by the time of this recording, right?
So,
and you're done. Yeah. We'll see how long it's
very
going to
last. Very good point. I skipped over that. It was in my notes, but I missed it. Thank you. The migration and the onboarding process.
That's
so
right.
when somebody wants to go into the cloud environment, as long as they're on 14.4, you give the approval, progress team comes in, gets that from you, puts it into the cloud. You go through your own review and approval, and it's live. So it's a very reasonably hands-off process from the client side. Progress does all the quote unquote heavy lifting in order to get that all set up and ready for you. And so it's a very nice process.
Right.
When we've helped some of our clients go into the cloud, it's not necessarily that you just want to switch hosting environments, but it's an opportunity to look at enhancing, adding functionality, building out new content, refreshing design, that kind of thing. So it can become a little bit of a refresh project, which then ultimately gets deployed into the cloud. So it's more of a new deployment. And so progress will just pick up from our staging environment, our internal development environment when that's ready, and that's what gets deployed live. So it's a very sort of straightforward process. Right. And if you're wanting to enhance your digital experience at the same time, we can certainly talk to you about what that might entail.
Right. So a couple other disclaimers, so to speak. So that was one. Current customers got to be on 14.4. If you want to bring your site as is, meaning maybe you aren't doing a lot of design changes, maybe you're just, again, looking at changing basically hosting infrastructures, most likely that's going to be a pass type offering. Okay.
Right.
And the reason that is because our SaaS offering is a different focus, right? So we only allow for this new front end technology. We kind of don't want you bringing in sort of maybe the skeletons you might have in the closet, so to speak, which is fine. So our SaaS based model for current customers is better suited maybe for a complete redesign, which is a good opportunity to learn from what you've already done.
Well, yeah, I mean, a fresh reimagination. Like, it doesn't need to be a redesign. Like, we can take your design, we can move your templates into the SaaS version. We can come up with a content plan and a content strategy for moving your content in there. But you do need to redeploy your building blocks and then reassemble your pages. It's a wonderful opportunity if you're just overdue on some housekeeping anyway.
Exactly. And you'll be taking advantage of our new editing experience, which again unlocks a whole new set of tools for marketers, authors, and our everyday users. So there's that experience. So again, a couple just disclaimers there. For our current customers, SaaS would be a redesign of some sort, whatever, structural Again, Scott has all the tools at hand to help you. Reimagination, I like that better. Or maybe, you got a new brand or a new something, you want to put that on there. We can migrate the rest of the project later. We're already doing that with some customers.
Your team's too busy. You've got an on-site main site, on-prem main site, but you need to launch a new campaign or a new product and get it up going fast. SaaS option is a great consideration for those kinds of scenarios. Also gets you kind of foot in the door, exploring if Sitefinity Cloud really does sort of feel like it's going to work for your environment, for your business.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to note something else, but my mind is it's eluded me.
Well, we're okay. So good segue into reach out, get in touch, let us know if you have any questions, if there's anything else you need to know about using Sitefinity Cloud, and we're going to help you get there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me, Scott.
Yeah.
Always. Pleasure. Bye.